Fast money, women, my life. Starring 2092. Yeah. Let's go. So, here I am, broke again. Don't have any money. I just got robbed. My $10, 30 CDs, 30 movies, couple CDs, and my umbrella. So, here I am again, sitting in someone else's apartment, saying to myself, how can I, get up out of this situation? Now, I'm going to call this dude Sal that I stayed with because he's kind of important. You'll hear more of him later on in the parts to come. So I was staying with Sal. Now the reality of it is that Sal was actually staying with his sister, right? I didn't find that out until a little later. So it was his sister's crib, and his sister had a son and she had a crackhead boyfriend, right? And, we would bump heads here and there because, here we are, Sal and I, we're young, we're young and vibrant and, we out here and we making money. The only thing that Sal's sister asked for every week was $50 a week. And that wasn't nothing to me. I gave her, sometimes I gave her a little bit more than that, So here we are, we having the time of our lives and everything. And his sister's braiding my hair, so I'm fly, and the crackhead boyfriend, he didn't like that because he had to get up early in the morning and go work for Labor Ready, or like it used to be people that would pick them up. They would be on a street corner and they would pick them up and have them do a little odd jobs and stuff like that, carpentry work, making cement and all the rest of that crazy stuff, right? So he never really, really liked us like that because we were clocking, we were getting money. So I'm saying that to say this, you'll see later on why, I'm saying that. So I'm sitting there, I'm broke. So I had to just give in, and I called my grandfather, and when I was younger, my grandfather was there for me like that. I mean, my father would send me clothes, but he would never send money. That wasn't his thing. He wouldn't send me no money and everything, right? So whenever I needed something, sneakers and stuff like that, extra stuff, Nintendo games, Sega games and stuff like that, I would call him and my grandfather would send me the money. So make a long story short, he wound up just really giving up on me because all I would do is when I call is ask for something. So he said, listen, I'm going to give you some money, but this is the last time I'll ever give you any money. The last time. And he gave me a little over $100, close to $200. That was enough for me to get back on my feet. So you know what? I went out there and I had to buy some movies off of one of the brothers because, of course, I couldn't get up to New York. I mean, that's a bus ticket. You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't make it to New York to get the movie, so I bought them off for somebody, off of another brother. And I went out there and I flip, got back on track, right? So one day, I'm counting money and me and Sal, we playing around with the crackhead boyfriend because the crackhead boyfriend is in the living room. And he's just sitting there, just looking like he was looking real pitiful, right? Now, this guy, he didn't smoke crack all the time, but he did smoke crack at least once a week. That's guaranteed. So he's sitting there looking pitiful, I guess because he broke and he want to smoke some crack or something, right? So me and Sal, we sitting there and we counting our money and we well, oh man, what's $1 doing on our stack? And we throwing it on the floor. I don't need that. Hey man, you could get this $1. We just messing with him, right? So we messing with his head. So that particular day I had to get my hair braided. So his sister comes in the living room and sits down and she's like, yo, you ready? I'm like, yeah. So I sit in between her legs, right? While she's braiding my hair. And I put my arm on her leg, like leaning on her leg, right? The crackhead boyfriend said, yo, get your hands off my lady, man. I'm like, what? He was like, yo, she not braiding your hair anymore. I'm like, what? First of all, I paid her That's the first thing. The second thing is you just mad because you a bum. And he flipped and ran up on me, grabbed me, and next thing you know, we fighting, right? Now Sal is there. I'm expecting Sal to jump in. Cause the dude, even though he a crackhead, he's not like a real crackhead. You know, he smoked crack, like I said, he smoked crack every now and then. But he was still he was still big. He was in his 30s and we were in our early 20s, right? So we fighting and everything. Really no punches got thrown. It was just us tumbling back and forth on the ground, right? So he gets up and he's like, yo, let's take this outside. So they broke it up, right? Make the long story short, next day comes, sister comes to me and says, hey, listen, I ain't trying to be funny, but y'all gonna have to leave. she said, Sal and me, we gonna have to leave, right? Cause y'all messing up my whole family thing and all the rest of that. And I'm like, I'm sitting here looking at her like, but you do know your boyfriend smokes crack, right? But I didn't say nothing. I was just like, all right, cool. So I stayed there for a couple of weeks until like I went out to Greensboro. I knew a dude out there, right? And I said, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go to Greensboro and I'm gonna see how the movies do out there. So I went to Greensboro. I hit the projects, right? I had to make, like, that day, no lie, took me about 4 hours. I made about $400. So I said, you know what? It's popping out here, right? Now, I'm not thinking, yo, why don't you go back to school? North Carolina A&T is right there. That's not what I was thinking about. I was thinking about money. So the friend that I knew, he was going to North Carolina A&T and his brother, right? So he was like, you know what, man, you know, if you want to stay here, you could stay here for a week, you know, but after that, you're going to have to leave. You're going to find somewhere for you, you know, you're going to have to find somewhere else to go because my mother's basically paying for the apartment that we're in. And, you know, she sees you here, living here and everything. She's going to tell you to go anyway, right? I was like, all right, cool. So I went back to Raleigh. I got my stuff and I told her sister, you know, thanks for letting me stay here, whatever have you, but I'm out. So I left. I went to Greensboro, stayed with them for a week, and then I had to go. The younger brother had a girlfriend that stayed right down the street in the same apartment complex. She said I could stay with her for whatever, right? So I slept on the floor for a couple of days or whatever, and I was going out hustling. And one day, you know, I wound up finding this apartment, and they told me how much it was, the deposit and the lights and all of that stuff. I went out and hustled and got it and got into an apartment, right? Now taking heed, I know I don't supposed to be driving, but the younger brother's girlfriend is letting me drive her car, right? Back and forth. So then, of course, I go up to New York. That summer in New York, the Yankees won the World Series, and they had a parade that in Manhattan, right? And I went to get my movies. I had them shipped down, and then I had some extra time to, you know, like just mess around or whatever, right? I went to the parade, and yo, it was crazy. You know, I'm sitting here drinking beer. What was it? Brooklyn Lager. That's what I was drinking. I was sitting there drinking in the middle of the streets. I mean, yo, it was crazy, man. Like I got tore up. It was other people there that got tore up. They had like the streets blocked out, and we ran, bum rushed that. I'm not lying. I wish I had footage of it. We were jumping on cop cars, destroying this cop van we jumped on. It was like, it had to be about 20 of us. It was like blacks, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans. All of us was just jumping on a van, and we just caved that whole joint in. And then the cops came and we ran. Yo, it was like an exciting moment, man. And, you know, it was like something to remember, because I flipped out. I ain't gonna lie. I was drinking. I was tore up in the middle of the streets in Manhattan while a Yankee parade was going on, right? So I get back home, and let me rewind that, excuse me. So I get on a bus, Greyhound bus, and I met this broad. She was from New York, Brooklyn. she was on some, she was like real nosy for some odd reason. I don't know why, but so I used to, write poetry and all of that stuff. I had that poetry that was spoken word. I was doing that stuff, right? And I was writing it in my book, and she turned around and she was like, "What you writing?" I was like, "Yo, I write a little poetry or whatever." And she was like, "Yo, I want to hear some of it." No, she was like, "Let me read it." So I let her read it and everything. She's like, "Yo, you're very good or whatever." So we was talking back and forth, and she looking at me. She's like, "Yo, you fly." You know what I'm saying? I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I'm straight." I had on like I had a Carolina Panthers jersey on. And the jeans matched with it, and then I had some Nike cross trainers, and it was all white with a blue stripe. The whole joint was straight. You know what I'm saying? She's like, "Yo, I'm digging your style or whatever." So we exchanged numbers. She had went to another part of North Carolina, which was like 2 hours away from Greensboro, right? So I call her one day when I get back, picked up the movies and all of that stuff. And I'm doing my regular routine thing. So I call her one day and she's like, "Yo, I want to come hang out with you." I'm like, "Cool, I'm coming to get you." So I used my friend's younger brother's girlfriend's car to come and get her. And that kind of caused a problem because the younger brother was like on some, like he really didn't, he never said anything, but I could see it on his face. Like she when I moved in my apartment, she had moved back into, because she went to North Carolina A&T too. She moved back into the dorms because the apartment was too much for her. So she took all her furniture and she was like, "Yo, you can have my furniture until I get out of school, and then I'll bring it back home with me." I was like, "Cool." So she gave me all her furniture. Anytime I needed to use her car, I had access to her car. So I really do think that the younger brother was on some, Langston is smashing my girl. Now, she ain't never gave me none. I remember I took her out to eat one time and we were talking, and she was like, "Yo, my girlfriend said that you should be dating Langston instead of that younger brother, because Langston he's making money, and he's doing this and that and so forth, right?" So, I never smashed her. Now, had she had offered it to me, I probably would. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just gonna be straight up. I will tap somebody else's girl. It's just that's plain and simple. So, he felt a certain way. But anyway, I took her car, even though my license was revoked, and I drove 2 hours to get her and bring her back up. So she spent a couple days with me. So one day she's like, she already know, I'm doing movies and everything. I'm selling movies or whatever. So I went out, and before I went out, she was like, "Yo, listen, when you come back, I'll be ready." I'm not, I don't know what she talking about. So I come back and I'm chilling, and I'm like not paying attention to the TV because I'm like kind of tired. And then I look up and I'm like, this broad is playing a porno with men doing each other. I'm like, yo, ma, turn that off. I don't play that stuff. I don't play none of that, right? So she's like, all right, cool. So she was like, "Yo, listen, go upstairs, wash your hands so you could play in my punani." I said, "All right, say no more." I went upstairs, washed my hand, came back downstairs. She's like, "You playing?" I'm like, I'm dead ass, like, let's go, right? So I had it upstairs and downstairs. I went upstairs, got in the bed, smashed it. Then after that, we went to a restaurant, and I never forget, we ate, we was drinking, right? We got tore up, right? Now take it here, I gotta drive, but I'm still driving, tore up. Anyway, we're sitting there and we're waiting. No lie, I'm not lying. I was gonna pay the dude. We're waiting like 20-30 minutes for the check to come, and I'm like, what's going on now? So I'm thinking like, yo, this some racism. There's some racism because it's white people up here and they getting their checks and they getting seen and da, and we're not. So make a long story short, she was like, yo, listen, this is a Brooklyn chick. Brooklyn women are very different from any other woman around the world. Very different. She says, yo, let's walk out. I said, say no more. We walk out. So when we got in the car, I was driving out of the parking lot and the dude was running like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? And we started laughing and we drove off. Yo, I have fun with that chick. The only thing that she violated, you know what I'm saying? The only thing she did that bothered me and pissed me off is she was looking at that gay stuff. And I ain't play that, but make the long story short, she was a dyke, you know what I'm saying? So she's bisexual. So she was all into that stuff, right? So, I wound up dropping her off. And I get a call a couple days later, right? Cause she was supposed to go into the army. I get a call a couple days later. She's like, yo, I'm pregnant. I'm like, what?